Welcome to Labor Love Ministries at Father's House of Prayer. This is Pastor Andre Little. I want to welcome you. I want to talk to you today about a subject that we're probably getting ready to celebrate. And if not, you may be seeing this another time. But it's the history of Christmas. There's two words within that word, Christmas, Christ, and then the word Mass. It should be about the Christ coming together to celebrate and worship him. But this is really truly a pagan holiday that we've actually tried to make it a Christian holiday. And God made very clear a lot of times he didn't want to have even a strange fire dealing with things of him. And I just want to talk to you about, first, let's go back to understand that these decisions we make are going to have consequences. There's no decision you can make in the earth realm that's not going to have a consequence of an outcome. And so we need to be very clear about what we're doing and what we're actually sending a message out by what we partake of. Jesus made it very clear, he always was, always is, and always will be. And so the word always will be. And we've taken things, according to his word, it said, and I believe in Mark chapter 7, verse 8, how we've taken commandments of God, laid them aside for the traditions of men. We've actually put traditions of men above the commandments of God. Jesus had a problem with that. And we need to understand this, whether we're going to be truly a church that is following Jesus, or are we going to do all these things that make us feel good because the world is doing it and we want to try to use what the world is doing and try to, be more like them. The word makes very clear that to be friends of the world is enmity with God. You got to choose, whom you're going to serve, who's on the Lord's side. And, some people don't like this, but, that's okay. I'm going to bring you the truth. When he called me to preach and the pastor, I never wanted to do this because I see so many things that I know that are contrary to his word. I thought, I just wanted to make sure if I do it your way, follow him. And, something I always keep, on my armband, or a message that I always write, it says, follow Jesus. Follow Jesus. It's two things I have to tell my daughter all the time. When I would drop them off at high school, and I would say, the last thing I will say after I said I love them, was to walk in the light and follow Jesus. And of course, one of my daughters, she was always say, you too, Dad. And I said, that's right. Me too. Because it's impossible to sin if you're walking in light and following Jesus. When we're sinning and doing our own thing, we're not walking in light, which means we're walking in darkness, and we're not following Jesus. Now, Jesus made it very clear when we follow him, he said, there be few that go in thereat. Few there be that go in thereat. The narrow path. Narrow is the way. But we choose, and most of the times, the broad way. And many are being destroyed. And including those, quote unquote, that may consider themselves in the church. Not Broadway, it's narrow. It's in his word, narrow. He said few. He's not a liar, he's the truth. So we need to be very clear on these things. And for things that we even compromise. And let's understand, first of all, Christmas, dates way back to the Babylon, when Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Supposedly when he died, he came back and it was his wife Samarius, and actually he had a son, and his son's name was Tammuz. And supposedly there was something that budded on a piece of wood there, this green evergreen tree. Now it becomes the Christmas tree. Born roughly right around December 21st, some to the 20th of December to the 22nd, which is the winter solstice. Has nothing to do with Jesus. None of the early Christian disciples never celebrated Christmas. This came about during the 5th century AD from the Roman Catholic Church, Roman Catholicism. That's a religious spirit that is strong in the earth realm. But that's another teaching I can teach you on more about later. Let's talk about the Christmas tree though. So this here, we know it's not of God. You see it in churches. You see it on the pulpits. You see it down before the altars of God. You see it in people's houses who profess to be Christians. Don't you know this is not of God? You don't want to be opening yourself up to access, to give the enemy access to things that are truly contrary to God. Well, what about the Christmas wreath? That's not of God either. Read down below. Well, what about the Yule log? That's not of God either. What about the mistletoe? That's not of God either. All these pagan things that we've been dealing with here, we've been bringing them in. And we've been having things we've been dealing with, and we don't even know why we have to deal with these things the way we do. And many times because of the decisions we made and the choices we chose to go against God. And so with this being said, even at Christmas ham, learn the history. Learn why so many things we're doing now. We got so many ailments and things we're dealing with here that we should not even have to be dealing with. As a holy people of God, separated, consecrated for him. So the world, they're going to love to celebrate Christmas. Why? It's party time. Party time. That spirit of lasciviousness. You're going to have Christmas office parties galore. They don't care nothing about Jesus. It's the world. What happens on Christmas parties? Drinking, drunkenness, eggnog, whatever you want to call it. You know what's going on. Some of you probably participating in it. Come on. Now, what else goes on there? The fraternizing. You know, people, office work, they get a little drink in the system. What happens? You're going to have now the fornicators, adultery spirits. It's flowing all throughout there. Party. It's a history of that. It's a history of that, where that came from. And we're participating in this. Come ye out from among them. Come ye out from that. So many things that we're teaching our children. We're teaching the children. They do the same thing that we're doing. You know, we've got to make a change. For what's coming right now ahead of us, for the church, it can't be no more business as usual. It can't be no more of these traditions of following men and putting above the commandments of God. If you want to have the outcome and the effects of what God said we should have as the people of God. I'm going to share some with you that God shared me a long time ago when I was going through some great challenges in my business, a Christian-owned business at that. And it was such an onslaught of attack. And one night I'm in my basement, I'm crying out to God and I'm just worshiping him. And he says to me that I'm a holy man. He said, and the only man on the earth that cannot be stopped is a holy man. Don't you know the enemy fears most are holy people of God? Not your membership, not your material things, not how good you look in your flesh or how well you dressed up. He fears a holy man. So a holy people of God is what God is looking for, that he wants to be to stand for him and be to go forth to advance the kingdom of God. I love you. God bless you. And we'll talk later.